Some killers disappear without ever being seen. Others leave behind mistakes, fingerprints, DNA, footprints, evidence that slowly leads investigators to their names, faces, and eventually justice. But then, there are the killers who don't just commit murder. They demand attention for it. Killers who want the world watching. Killers who write letters, speak in symbols, and challenge the police, newspapers, and the public in a terrifying game of psychological warfare. Between 1968 and the early 1970s, one such killer stalked Northern California, someone who called himself the Zodiac, a man whose crimes, confessions, and encrypted messages sparked one of the biggest manhunts in American criminal history. More than 50 years later, despite suspects, confessions, theories, handwriting experts, detectives, and decades of investigation, his true identity remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the United States. Tonight, we're going back to the beginning, because to understand the Zodiac, we must start where the fear began. It was December 20th, 1968, just days before Christmas. Lake Herman Road, a quiet stretch of countryside near Vallejo, California. There was nothing unusual about the area, just a remote road where young people sometimes parked for privacy. That night, 17-year-old David Faraday and 16-year-old Betty Lou Jensen sat inside David's station wagon. They were on their first official date, and they never made it home. At some point between 10:15 p.m. and 11 p.m., someone approached their car. What happened next was fast, violent, and coldly controlled. Authorities later determined that David was shot at close range, likely while exiting the vehicle. Betty Lou ran, but she didn't get far. 10 shell casings were found on the scene. There were no fingerprints, no witness, no motive, just fear and questions. Police called it an isolated attack. Tragic, but random. But 6 months later, that explanation shattered. Fast forward to July 4th, 1969. Fireworks filled the sky. Celebration echoed across the country. But on the edge of Blue Rock Springs Park, another couple sat in a parked car. 22-year-old Delene Ferrin and 19-year-old Michael Mago. At around midnight, a vehicle approached, then drove away. Moments later, it returned. A man stepped out, a heavy-set figure, wearing glasses, holding a flashlight and a gun. He didn't speak. He didn't hesitate. Multiple shots fired into the car. Delene didn't survive. Michael did, barely. Hours after the attack, a police dispatcher received a chilling phone call. The voice was calm, almost emotionless. "I want to report a double murder. If you go 1 mile east on Columbus Parkway, you will find kids in a brown car. I shot them. I also killed those kids last year." The caller hung up. That sentence changed everything. This wasn't a random act. This was a pattern. The killer was announcing himself. On August 1st, 1969, 3 major newspapers, the San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Examiner, and the Vallejo Times-Herald, each received a nearly identical letter. In the letter, the killer confessed to the 2 shootings and demanded the newspapers print the message. Each letter was signed with a strange symbol, a circle with a cross through it, similar to a rifle scope. Attached to the letters was a cipher, a set of encoded characters that looked like symbols, triangles, squares, and letters rearranged into a coded message. The killer gave a terrifying warning. "If you do not print this cipher on the front page, I will cruise around all weekend killing lone people in the night, then move on until I have killed a dozen people." Newspapers printed it. Still, no one knew who he was. For America, the message seemed impossible to decode. For days, the cipher mocked investigators. Thousands stared at it, trying to understand. But the solution didn't come from the FBI. It didn't come from the police. It came from a school teacher, Donald Hardin, and his wife, Betty. Their solution revealed something chilling. The message wasn't an apology. It was a manifesto. "I like killing people because it is so much fun. I will not give you my name because you would try to slow down or stop my collecting of slaves for my afterlife. No name, no suspect, only fear." On September 27th, 1969, college students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were relaxing near Lake Berryessa when a man approached. But this time, he wasn't just a stranger. He was in costume, a dark hood, a bib-like chest plate, and on it, the symbol, the circle and cross. He held a gun and claimed to be an escaped prisoner. He tied the couple and attacked them. Before leaving, he walked back to Brian's car and wrote a message on the door, listing dates of past attacks. He signed it with the same symbol. Cecilia did not survive. Brian did, and later told police. His voice was calm, like he wasn't angry, just doing something he planned. Just 2 weeks later, on October 11th, 1969, the Zodiac struck again, but this time was different. Taxi driver Paul Stein was shot in the head in San Francisco's Presidio Heights. A witness saw the killer and described him as white male, 25 to 35 years old, 5 feet 8 inches to 5 feet 10 inches, heavy build, wearing glasses. But the biggest mistake, police officers encountered a man matching that exact description walking near the crime scene and let him go because they were mistakenly told the suspect was black. To prove he was the killer, Zodiac mailed a piece of Paul Stein's bloody shirt to the newspaper. Now the terror was bigger than a mystery. It was a taunt. Over months and years, the Zodiac sent more letters, some handwritten, some coded, each containing puzzles, threats, and disturbing humor. He threatened to blow up school buses, attack random civilians, continue killing until police cracked his final cipher. His tone was smug, arrogant, confident. He wasn't just killing, he was performing. The Zodiac wanted to be legendary, and in many ways, he succeeded. Arthur Lee Allen, the most widely discussed suspect. He was in the area during multiple murders. He owned a Zodiac-style watch with the same symbol. He made disturbing comments about harming couples. But his handwriting didn't match the letters, and later DNA testing excluded him. Even today, some investigators refuse to let go of his connection. Suspect 2, Richard Gaikowski, a journalist whose physical description and voice matched witness statements. Some allege the cipher contained clues pointing to him, but again, no conclusive evidence. Suspect 3, Lawrence Kane. He suffered a traumatic brain injury that changed his behavior dramatically. He lived near multiple victims. He matched the eyewitness sketch. Still, no proof. Other possibilities. Over the decades, dozens, maybe even hundreds of names have surfaced. Former military cryptographers, librarians, quiet neighbors, men with troubled pasts. Some confessed, some denied everything. Many took their secrets to the grave. In December 2020, after more than 51 years, a team of modern code breakers finally cracked one of Zodiac's most mysterious messages, the 340 cipher. It read, "I'm not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner." Again, no identification, no name, just more arrogance. After the early 1970s, the letters slowed and eventually stopped. Some believed the Zodiac died, went to prison under another name, moved states, lost interest, or simply aged out of violence. But police never officially closed the case. Because there's one undeniable truth. The Zodiac wanted immortality, and in a twisted way, he got it. More than 5 decades have passed since the Zodiac Killer first terrorized California. The names have been debated. The codes have been studied. The evidence examined again and again. And yet, the identity behind the symbol remains in the shadows. Was he a military-trained cryptographer? A jealous ex-lover? A man who lived a normal life in plain sight? Or someone no one ever suspected? The case remains open, and the last cipher still whispers the same haunting question. Who was the Zodiac Killer? The Zodiac didn't just want to kill. He wanted to be smarter than police, smarter than the public, smarter than everyone. With his letters, he included a cipher, a strange block of cryptic symbols, shapes, triangles, circles, and letters arranged in an organized code. He wrote, "If you crack this, you will know my identity." It was a taunt, a challenge, and an invitation to play a deadly game. Police sent the cipher to cryptographers and military code experts, but no breakthrough came. And then, something unexpected happened. 2 ordinary civilians, a California high school teacher, Donald Hardin, and his wife Betty, sat down at their kitchen table and solved it. Not detectives, not FBI, not military code breakers. A school teacher and his wife. Their solution revealed something chilling. The decoded message read, "I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all." There was no name, no confession, just pure arrogance and confirmation of something darker. The Zodiac didn't kill because he had to. He killed because he enjoyed it. After the murder of Paul Stein, something shifted. The Zodiac moved from quiet, calculated killings to theatrical performance. He wrote more letters. He threatened more violence. He claimed responsibility for crimes that weren't confirmed. At one point, he even threatened to shoot out children's tires on school buses, saying, "Just pick off the kiddies as they bounce out." This line sent waves of panic through the state. School buses were escorted by police cars. Parents refused to send their children to class. Fear wasn't a side effect. Fear was the goal. Police frustration and mistakes. Despite letters, calls, descriptions, fingerprints, and handwriting, the investigation stalled. There were law enforcement mistakes. One of the biggest. Police cars revolving light, the Paul Stein murder witness mix-up. Witnesses described the suspect as a white male, between 25 and 45, stocky, wearing glasses, light brown hair. But patrol officers in the area were initially told to search for a black male suspect. So as the killer walked, calmly, away from the scene, police may have already driven past him. This is one of the most painful and discussed errors of the case. And the Zodiac knew, because weeks later, he wrote, "There was a cop car about 3 minutes after I left the cab, but they drove right past me." If true, he wasn't just escaping. He was bragging. Split screen of the most famous suspects. Over the decades, investigators examined dozens of possible suspects, but a few names stand out. Suspect 1, Arthur Lee Allen. Allen was a convicted sex offender, obsessed with ciphers, known to wear similar clothing, linked to locations near the crimes. A friend told police that Allen once said, "The most dangerous game is man." The exact line from the Zodiac cipher solution. Investigators searched his home and found weapons, tapes, and strange writings. But no fingerprints matched. No DNA matched. Handwriting analysis was inconclusive. Arthur Lee Allen died in 1992, never charged. Suspect 2, Richard Gaikowski, a journalist with radical political views. Gaikowski matched witness descriptions and reportedly had connections to locations Zodiac referenced. A surviving victim allegedly recognized his voice. But again, no hard proof. Suspect 3, Gary Francis Post. In 2021, a group called the Casebreakers claimed Post was the Zodiac, based on photos and coding theories. But law enforcement never confirmed it. The mystery deepens. The Zodiac letters slowed. The phone calls stopped. And eventually, the murders, at least the confirmed ones, ended. But the letters, they continued. The last widely accepted Zodiac letter arrived in 1974. It ended with the haunting line, "Me equals 37 SFPD equals 0. A final score. A final taunt. A final reminder that he believed he had beaten everyone. Why was he never caught? There are 3 major theories. Theory 1. He was extremely ordinary. He blended in. No criminal background. No suspicious behavior. A killer hiding in plain sight. Theory 2. He worked in military intelligence. His ciphers, terminology, and calmness suggest training, possibly Navy or Air Force experience. Theory 3. There were multiple Zodiac killers. Some believe the writing style shifted too dramatically, implying more than one person may have contributed. It sounds outrageous, but some detectives privately admitted the theory was, at minimum, possible. The psychological profile. Experts believe the Zodiac Killer was a narcissist, a control-driven personality, someone who craved recognition more than killing. Unlike killers who vanish after crimes, Zodiac wanted conversation. He wanted an audience. He wanted immortality. And perhaps, in some twisted way, he achieved it. It has been more than 50 years. New technology may one day reveal his name, or maybe the evidence is too contaminated, too old, too fractured. Some say he's dead. Some believe he lived a quiet, unnoticed life. Some think he never stopped. He simply changed identity, state, or pattern. But one question remains. Was the Zodiac Killer a criminal genius? Or did he just get lucky? Before we end, tell me in the comments, do you believe the Zodiac Killer was Arthur Lee Allen, or someone we've never heard of? If you want part 2, the decoded letters, hidden clues, and secret messages people believe connect the Zodiac to other unsolved crimes, hit like, subscribe, and turn notifications on. You won't want to miss what comes next.